sticking to my teeth. So just a little bit. Are you top or bottom?
Cowgirl.
Yes, reversing it.
Doggy style.
Bam. Wow. Ow. I'm Kyle Lives. This is
Val. Gal Val.
the gal Val. My gal Val. We're still doing the damn thing. Got the RSO show going on today. Rick Simpson oil, or more commonly known as RSO. Or Phoenix Tears was a big one. That got real hot. RSO is probably the more commonly one. When I first got into Sedona, we had patients coming and asking for RSO.
Okay.
All the time. And I didn't know anything about it. And they were asking for it. And they didn't really know much about it. They were just told that was the best thing for them for their diagnosis. So
what diagnoses were you seeing?
Cancer, MS, Crohn's, neuropathy, fibromyalgia. Experiment-wise, so I took two of them myself, went home and started experimenting. So I could figure out, I took a bunch of it, I took a little of it.
What was your first dose? What did you start off with?
The first dose was the Halloween party, where I probably took a quarter, of one of these. So one of these is roughly 800 to 1,000 milligrams of THC. So I probably took about 250 milligrams my first time. And so when I went to the Halloween party, it's dancing.
Too much. It was too much.
Too much. It was very too much. But that's kind of where I at least learned what it's capable of doing. So it definitely introduced each other with a firm handshake. Of like, hey, this is what it's about. Yeah. So after that, I really started experimenting. Put it on crackers, put it on chips.
Now, you went to the Halloween party first. Well, why first? Why start experimenting?
Because that's when I got it.
Okay.
So this was about a year after I started working in the medical field. And we had just gotten a large shipment of it in at the dispensary. So I figured I'd get some, start experimenting with it, being that I couldn't find anything on it.
Now, did you think it could help, like health benefit wise, as far as pain or as far as PTSD? Or
I didn't know anything about it really.
See what it is.
That was pretty much just like, this is what they say does a lot of healing for you. So let's find out what it's really capable of. Okay. At that time, I had just gotten off all my pharmaceutical medication about 2 years prior. Had transitioned into veganism, was dealing with a lot of nerve pain prior to that. So I was definitely in a good place to experiment with it and see what it could really do for me. In all my process of taking it and experimenting with it, I found that pairing it with a plant-based fat and oil dilute it into my stomach and absorb it more fully.
Such as an avocado oil, a sunflower oil, something like that?
Avocado oil, sunflower oil, peanut butter, coconut oil, anything that's really fatty and oily that's plant-based pairs with the Rick Simpson oil really well and makes it very bioavailable and easily digestible, especially if you're doing any large doses. Like with some of the cancer protocols the very last week, you're taking one of these a day, for 5 straight days.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that, you really want to have some healthy fats and oils that your liver and your gut can process more evenly. When I would take larger heroic dosages, like a hippie hangover real bad the next day, without any fats and oils, from my liver trying to process, through all of that. So I definitely learned that you want to drink a lot of water, with this, because it is going to calm down a lot of inflammation, a lot more whenever you are using it on some larger dosages. But for me, one of these, if you're just doing maintenance wise, is good for about 21 separate dosages.
Okay.
If you do it for
almost a month. Well, you're working your way up to it.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the month, you're about to the gram by 27 days.
Yeah, depending on what kind of protocol, what we're trying to remedy. Cancer protocols usually run about 6 weeks. We're going steadily increasing over a 4-week period, to where you're doing one of the first week, you do one of these an entire week. Then the second week, you're doing 2, third week 3, fourth week 4. Take a break for about 5 days on that 5th week. And then that 6th week, you're doing one of these a day for 6 days straight.
Yeah.
That's kind of
It becomes intense.
very intense. But compared to chemo,
Yeah.
not nearly
more
as
gentle.
intense. Yeah,
You're going to eat well.
very well.
You're going to sleep well.
Sleep very well.
And you probably laugh a little bit more.
Yes, you'll be in a lot better spirits, processing through that from what I've seen. So I've had patients opt out of chemo entirely and go RSO. I've had ones that use it, while using chemo to kind of help with their appetite, and to feel good. And then some people just do straight chemo, and I'd have
Do
to...
you see a difference between these people?
Oh, yeah. No, I'd have to say that it helps. I mean, if you're going through chemo, it definitely helps improve your appetite, and your rest and your sleep wise on that. But the ones that I've seen go through a 6-week protocol and avoid chemo entirely end up bringing their blood tests back, and blood test results are pretty much cancer free.
So, since working with Rick Simpson oil, have you used the standard protocol with the rice grains and working it up over a whole month for yourself?
No.
Okay.
I'm capable of being able to handle a large amount of THC in my body. So depending on what I'm trying to do, a lot of time if I'm having a nerve pain flare up or anything like that, and I haven't gotten really any sleep in 2 days, much at all.
Because of the pain?
Because of the pain. I'll definitely lean into that a little bit more.
And how much?
I call this the nipple, that part right there. So I'll do 2 of those links worth.
2 nipples.
Yeah, so that's
probably 3.
2 to 3 grains of rice. Yeah. The easiest way to dose that I found is almost like a detonator switch to whenever you want to microdose it. Because otherwise, if you're trying to do it your traditional syringe way or anything like that, that's such a long stem that you can end up overdoing it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Or this way. But I found you put a couple fingers here to guide it, and then this to kind of push, and then you just keep that eye on that little cherry at the end.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the most intimidating part of using RSO for people, because they don't know how to dose it, and it's really easy to go overboard, and then you've gone too far.
Yeah. Well, it is, in my opinion, it is a form of muscle testing. So if your body pushes out a lot, your body's saying it wants a lot of that. So you can take it, you can not.
That's fair.
Make sure you have somebody around should you do a heroic dosage on that.
Have your water ready.
Yeah, have some water ready.
Have your fruit and your healthy snacks ready.
Yeah, something to watch on TV. Safe place.
And then make sure the next day is gentle.
Yeah, nothing really important going on the next day.
Now, sometimes people have asked me, how much is too much? And I've experimented myself to see what that could look like, and I've gone as far as 800 milligrams in one dose. It was good. I slept really well.
Yeah,
I didn't smoke it all the next day, but do you think there's such a thing as too much, as long as there's somebody who can handle themselves?
Maybe more than you want, but I don't think it's hard to say now. Because now you're actually capable of getting a lot in a very small dosage.
Sure.
And it might throw off your endocannabinoid receptors for a little while. Like you're saying, you don't feel like you need to smoke or do anything for the next couple days.
Yeah, you're good.
Because you're just like, either you're scared of it or you just don't need it anymore, but your cup runneth over.
Yeah, the quota's been met.
Yeah. You've definitely saturated your system at that point.
The endocannabinoid system is happy.
The thing I do like about this drip brand is that they have a high THC one, a high CBD one,
yes,
and then one that's more like a 3-to-1 ratio. So even if you're a little hesitant on getting into it, you can get one that's a little bit more diluted.
Or you can have both.
You can have both,
and then calm the one down if you get a little bit too far, which is a good option these days. We didn't always have that. You just had to ride with it.
Yeah. Buy the ticket, take the ride.
Yeah.
RSO is just a great instrument, a great tool for so many out there. But like I said, between MS, Crohn's, cancer, neuropathy, fibro, it allows the body to repair itself a lot easier by calming down so much inflammation. I highly suggest looking into it, reading into it, seeing if it's something suitable for you, to experiment with. Even for a while, as a maintenance wise, I was just taking small little doses throughout the day, just when I was first transitioning into veganism and really calming down that inflammation, looking to repair and do a lot more. That allowed me to really ride that hump a lot easier into the lifestyle change.
Yeah, I think anytime you're dealing with healing some trauma or repairing some old things, it makes that transition a little bit more gentle.
Yeah. With some of my patients, what we would do in the past, because dosing it was very challenging, they didn't have the dexterity to really do that thing. They would come in with almond slices and their medicine pill tray thing or whatever, and we would dose between almond slices and make a little sandwich and put that in their pill tray, and then they could pop that, periodically throughout the day, and then a larger dosage that evening. Perfect. So we almost had pre-dose set up protocols for this one patient. So you would do 2 to 3 doses throughout the day, and then at the end of the night you do a combination of all those doses before going to bed. So let's say you're doing half a grain of rice, 3 times, throughout the day. And then at night before going to bed, you're doing 1.5 grains of rice. Just because at night, that's when your body's doing repair work naturally. So if you can piggyback on that.
Yeah, you need to get good rest. Make sure you're eating healthy.
Decreasing stress and increasing your quality sleep is really the best thing you can do for your body. Our bodies are designed to do so much more than anything we can create synthetically on that. So if you can just get out of its way and allow it to do what it needs to do, which is be happy and healthy and functioning, it can do a lot for you. I feel a lot of what we're doing in our lives now is dietary, and if we can kind of resolve that, repair that, and end up proactive instead of just reactive, we can eliminate so many issues that we're kind of all suffering from in this world.
Now, let's talk about, you also dealt with some people who had ovarian cancer. They weren't able to ingest orally for some reason or smoke, so they went internally.
Right.
And then how did that go for them?
They did real well with
Vaginally.
vaginally. You can add a little bit of coconut oil or something like that,
Sure.
Antimicrobial with it, but that's kind of what I had seen in the past.
And then, do you know what their dosage was like? Were they starting off with the grain rice? Did they go with a gram right away? And what were those psychoactive?
So I didn't get into that. So no psychoactive effects as far as with vaginally. Yeah, through your keister.
All of them.
You're feeling that.
All
one.
of it.
Yeah, you're feeling that one real quick. Yeah. It does not take much. It is there and is doing good for you. My patients with hemorrhoids use that to repair, doing some hemorrhoid repair on that. Okay. They're rubbing some RSO in, and that's kind of with when you're doing that, you get a lot more blood flow, and with that blood flow, that's going to pull that into your system and move it around a lot more. So I recommend, getting intimate with yourself with it if you're of the opinion, like I said, some coconut oil, whatever you can do to get that blood flow in there.
Absolutely. If you need to go for a run before,
you're the expert.
Take a hot bath. Having some chocolate before helps because that's a vasodilator.
Yeah. Chocolate.
It gets the dopamine going a little bit because it's a good time.
Yeah. We sell some called drip by usually $20 to $30 for 1,000 milligrams. Of that 1,000 milligrams, usually 78 to 85% THC. So that would be 780 to roughly 850 milligrams of THC, for only $30. So, and if you take that into your regular 100 milligram edible, which ranges roughly $15 for 100 milligrams, you're getting a lot more THC per penny.
A lot of
going this way,
buck, especially with these guys, and they really care. They put a lot of love into their product. I feel like.
Absolutely. Experiment if you can get any RSO in your neighborhood or where you're at from either a homemaker or anything like that. Experiment with it, see how you feel dosage wise until you start having like I like say a hippie hangover. You know what I'm saying? I say just
Right.
keep putting that dosage on there. You know what I'm saying? And you might need to find a different maker. You know, some of them, Rick Simpson. I want to say Drip uses the traditional way, which is soaking the flour in an isopro or alcohol Everclear. How long do you soak it in that?
You know, I think you can do as short as like overnight, but I usually take my time and do it for a week to a month.
Okay, so soaking it for whatever, do some research on it. But if you can soak it for at least a week to a full lunar cycle, full moon to full moon,
Even
new moon
better,
to new moon,
you know.
I think you're pairing a lot better with the plants that
Absolutely.
way. So that's new
Moon
moon to
cycle,
new
the moon
moon,
cycle.
full moon to full moon, whatever you feel best with is how I'd go about soaking it. Once you have soaked it, then what?
Then I like to put it in just a cheap little still that you can get off of Amazon or whatever, water still. Strain it through cheesecloth
Okay.
into the still, and then I let that run. You can recapture your Everclear, and by the end of that distilling process, what you're left in the still is the Rick Simpson oil,
Okay.
which will be hot. It'll smell like alcohol. Most of that just vaporizes off. You're good to go. But the nice thing is using the still, you can recapture your alcohol. So at that point, you're bringing your overhead cost down by a lot. Because you don't need to use really good flour or buds
Okay.
to soak. It can be trimmed.
Shake, trim,
It can
fall
be
out.
shake.
You with making it, we would soak the flour, for the extended period of time, then pour that over a cheesecloth, or strainer cloth. Kind of beat that up or agitate that a little bit to get as much of that kind of soak through into there. And then what you're left with is pretty much your alcohol with your carrier agent, with your cannabinoids in there. And then you would put that on a burner plate, and put that to a slow kind of cook and allow that to dissipate. And then right towards the end of it all being cooked off, you would add a tablespoon of water to that to give it something to work with. And then we would shut that down from there and then take that and put that over there. What I found was that if we got it too hot, it burned off too many of the beneficial cannabinoids and created more of a corrosive type material that was harder for your liver to process.
Okay.
So it almost seemed like a longer but lower temperature was the best way to go about that.
I feel like this still does a really good job.
Real good job.
With that, because it almost ends up being a little bit thinner than molasses.
Okay. Viscosity wise. Yeah, this would come out more like a toothpaste.
Yeah, so you're kind
Consistency.
of having to chip it away off your jar or whatever.
Yeah, thick. Would be thick up in here.
Flour.
Unless you're using it as a topical, any fatty and oily, anything that's, whether it's a trans fat or a saturated fat, that's all good. Topically, you want to use a trans fat or a saturated fat. So olive oil, sesame oil, those are your two best ones to pair with this when you're using it topically. So for melanoma or anything like that, if you want to experiment with. So we can't say that this heals anybody, but your body definitely is able to reverse a lot.
It likes it.
It likes it. Yeah, you have endocannabinoid receptors. This pretty much checks all the boxes for those. All right, well that's enough of that.
Yeah.
Did I press record? So, what'd you learn?
Nothing.